Yo guys, Ukog here, and welcome to another Go track guide. This time we're getting really in-depth because it is the longest track in the game. You know what it is, it's in the name, it's Le Mans. Just a few little mistakes at this track can add up to seconds lost, so that's why it's so important to get this track right. So for turn 1, you're going to have a big long sweep through it, and you're going to want to apex right at the end, so you get a nice, wide, straight braking zone into the chicane. You're going to want to brake just after this white line on the right and trail brake very deep. You want to nail these curves, and this is a common theme throughout the track. Hitting the curbs is basically free grip. It's insane. So you want to be absolutely on the limit, trying to get, as close to 4 wheels over the white line as you can without getting a track cut. Then there's a kink left and right as we come down the hill here. You want to stay as right as possible, and just as you've straightened up the car, you're on the brakes and trailing really deep into this left-hander. And just as the curb changes there on the left to this wider blue and yellow curb, that's when you want to be letting off the brakes and thinking about applying the throttle. But don't be too hasty, because if you apply it a bit too early, you're going to run out wide for this kink to the right, and you're not going to be able to take it flat. It's really essential you prioritize this corner, because if you don't, you're going to be fighting the car, it's going to be snapping, and you're going to lose time on the run to this final right-hander before the Mulsanne straight. Now, as we drift out wide before this final corner, you want to brake just as the curb gets jagged on the left here. It might be quite hard to spot, but the more you drive it, the more you'll notice it. And you want to turn almost immediately after here and nail that apex. And as soon as you run over the curb on the inside and a little bit of that yellow sausage, that's when you're planting the throttle to get the best exit you possibly can, because this is a huge straight, so it means a lot in terms of lap time. So now we're going to head into the first of the 2 Mulsanne chicanes, and there's a really good tip here on the braking reference, because a lot of people ask me about this. There's one right before the 100-meter board. You'll notice a little gray mark in the barrier. Really easy to spot once you've done it once, and most cars, this is where you're going to want to brake. You want to be hard on the brakes and trailing deep, and all of these curbs, you're going to want to go about half a car over. Why is that? Because if you go more than half a car over, 1, you're going to get a track limit, and 2, you're going to bottom out and understeer, and it's just not going to be a great time. So you want to just go half car on the entry, half car in the middle, and even on the exit, go half car. Any more is also, like I say, going to be a track limit, and it's going to give you a yellow or an orange, so that is no good. So this second chicane is a little bit faster than the first one and a little bit wider, so you're going to want to brake after the 100-meter board here, only just after though, and you're going to carry a lot more speed into the left-hander, but you can use just as much curb as the first chicane. Then you're going to want to dab the brake just a little bit harder to swing the car around. Because this chicane is a little bit faster, you're going to notice the rear is going to want to step out on the exit. So just use a little bit of throttle control and, be nice and relaxed on your steering. Focus on that exit. Like I say, both these chicanes, you're going to make up so much time getting that exit and not fighting the car. That's where all of the lap time is. Now, one of the most important corners on the track, and one of the most difficult, especially for references. We're going to head into Virage. Now, the braking zone is just as you're going to apex this first right kink, and a lot of people don't notice is that you can really extend the entry here. So you're almost going 4 wheels over this white line on the entry, and then it just allows you to hook the car around with the camber of the corner. Use all the inside curb. Again, that's going to just give you free rotation. And then the exit, because you've been so wide on the entry, you can get on the throttle insanely early. And then also, on the exit, you can run almost to the gravel. That's how wide you can go. Obviously not in the gravel, but you're basically having this curb be in the middle of your car. And this track usage is so essential just for maintaining a high minimum speed and also getting another great exit onto this long straight. So now we're coming up to the fastest corner on the track. It's Indianapolis, and it can be quite sketchy in most cars, to be honest, because most cars are running quite low wings. So the best way to do it is to really open up the corner, dab the brake a little bit early and let off a little bit early and just roll the car through. You don't want to be playing with your inputs for this corner because that's when you're going to start spinning and crashing into barriers. You want to keep it tight, though, if you can, on the exit and be instantly on the brake, stomping that brake pedal, trailing in deep for this left-hander, and be on the throttle early and extend really wide. You can actually go over the gravel here because you don't lose that much traction using it. So the extra speed you get, you can maintain by extending. It outweighs the gravel touch. Now we're coming into a very tight 90-degree right-hander. You're going to want to brake just before the 50 board and this Goodyear sign on the left, and open up the entry with this yellow and blue curb, but just make sure you're turning into the corner before you get to the end of this curb. Otherwise, you're going to bottom out. And as you're going for this right-hander, as soon as you kiss the apex, hard on the throttle and extend those track limits all the way to the wall. Now, don't go too far, but extend all the way to the wall. So the next collection of corners are going to really make or break your lap because it's all down to how confident in the car you are. It's the Porsche Curves. As we head into the first fast right-hander, you want to be braking halfway through this green Astro, and do your braking early on before you start getting through the corner because otherwise the car's going to over-rotate. You can do a lot of rotation for these corners just by lifting because most setups here are naturally low wing. So they're going to do a lot of coast rotation. Now through the right-hander, you want to keep it nice and tight and don't extend too much on the exit because you've got a very fast left-hander immediately after. You want to just kiss the inside curb and run it out as wide as you dare to this wall. Now touching this wall is going to give you damage, suspension damage even. So do not touch this wall under any circumstances. And as you're just coming to the exit, you're immediately turning into another fast left-hander. Just a little lift through here, and as soon as you've made it through, you want to be dabbing the brakes briefly and then rolling the car around this right-hander. Keep it nice and tight because that's where all the grip is. And on the exit, again, keep it tight because you've got one final left-hander to finish this sequence, and it means everything because you got a nice straight afterwards. So as soon as you finish this right-hander, flick the car to the left, a little dab of the brakes, and then you want to wait before you're on the throttle. You want to wait until you nail that inside curb and use as much of that inside curb and that yellow sausage as you can because it's so grippy and it rotates the car so nicely so you can plant the throttle on the exit. The track limits are really brutal here as well on the exit. Very easy to get a yellow track limit warning, so don't go too wide. And now nail it down this straight come into the final few chicanes. So as we come into the final two chicanes here, you're going to notice us nearly dummy into the pit lane to extend the track. And then you start braking just as the white dotted line for the pit entry finish. You diagonal brake into here and use as much of the left curb as possible. Really be smart with your trailing because if you're like heavy on the brake going over that curb, the car's going to over-rotate and you'll crash into the barrier. I bet some of you have seen that before or done that before. Then, as you come through the right-hander, again, use so much of that curb and don't extend too much because you've got a final left-right to prioritize. Now, for the final left-hander here, you can cut more than you think. You really want to be hyper-aggressive over that curb because the more left you are, the more you can open up this final right-hander and get the best exit possible. Speaking of this right-hander, destroy that red curb. Almost every car can do it with the right angle, and it's just going to give you free lap time. It's going to take a bit of confidence, and you're going to have to be careful on the throttle, but trust me, it's worth learning it. Then run the car as wide as you can for the exit, go over the line, and enjoy looking at that really nice PB that you just got, thanks to this Go Lap Guide.